another video. I'm super excited for today's video. As you guys can see by the title, today we're going to be playing with the new Glamlite Paint Palette Pro. Girl, let me just show you what this palette looks like immediately because it's stunning. So this is what the eyeshadow palette looks like right here. It's an actual paint palette, you guys. How beautiful. So it does have like a clear covering over top, and you just go ahead and open it up like so. And when you open it up, this is what the eyeshadow palette actually looks like. I love that you have the little thumb cut out here so you can actually hold it like a paint palette if you wanted to. It's so cute. But this is what the eyeshadows look like. Aren't they gorgeous? I'm obsessed. Glamlite never comes to play. They have been killing the game. If you guys have not tried or heard of Glamlite, you are truly missing out. I'm going to leave their website link down below so you guys can check them out. This palette is absolutely gorgeous. Look at the vibrancy of those eyeshadows, and it's not the camera, it's not the lighting. In person, they look just as vibrant. It is incredible. So we're going to be using this eyeshadow palette today. I did quickly want to mention, I did also use a few shades from my BPERFECT Love Tahiti palette just because I needed a couple of darker shades. Like I needed a darker purple, which is not in here. I needed a darker pink. So I also needed a black eyeshadow, which is in that palette. So I did dip into that as well, but mainly I'm using the Glamlite palette on my eyes today, which I'm really excited for. So that mini one is called the Paint Palette Pro. I wanted to quickly just show you guys the original paint palette. This is actually my first purchase that I made from Glamlite. This one is significantly bigger than the Paint Palette Pro. I just want to show you guys them side by side, or actually I'm going to put it right in front of it. Look at this. There's a big size difference, which I actually don't mind because trying to store this palette, it's the worst. It's so big, but the formula is incredible. So this is what this one looks like right here. Still really beautiful, really vibrant. As you guys can see, there's a major difference between these two because the center shimmer shades are definitely different. I feel like the shimmers in the new Paint Palette Pro are actually a little bit better, but nonetheless, it's still such an amazing formula and definitely a palette that I reach for often. It's beautiful. Like I said, I'm going to show you guys some swatches of the Paint Palette Pro so you guys can just see what they look like. But keep in mind, I always tell you guys, swatches don't always justify the pigment of an eyeshadow. So the swatches might look terrible, but the shadows themselves are really blendable and super pigmented. So before we jump into today's video, I did want to mention that I have a giveaway for you guys. So actually a funny story, when this palette actually launched, I wasn't sure if I was going to get an NPR from Glamlite. I am on their PR list, but I don't always like to wait, so I was just like, girl, I was feeling the pressure. I was like, I really want to buy it. I don't know if I'm gonna get it. Should I just buy it? I don't want it to sell out and then I just don't get it. I'm gonna be so upset. So I was like, you know what? I always love to support a brand that supports me. So I was like, you know what? It's a win-win situation. So I ended up ordering the palette for myself, and Glamlite reached out and was like, hey girl, you're actually gonna receive the palette in a few days. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm just going to keep the palette. I always, like I said, love supporting brands I truly love and adore. So I did hold on to the palette to do a giveaway for you guys. So one of you guys are going to be able to win your very own Paint Pro palettes. This is what the packaging looks like right here. Your own eyeshadow palette is in here with a brush. This palette does come with a brush, so I hope you guys are excited. I'm really excited to be doing this giveaway. When I'm filming this video, it's actually December 1st. It's officially the holiday season, so I figured the perfect way to give back and to start off the holiday season is with a giveaway. So I'm really excited for the giveaway. I hope you guys are too. So to enter the giveaway, rule number 1, which is always the same rule, is you must be subscribed to my YouTube channel. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Girl, I'm going to be checking, so make sure you subscribe to my channel. Rule number 2, you have to have, by the way, I'm so sorry, I feel like this is distracting. My chair moves and I'm just like this all the time. But rule number 2, you definitely have to be following me on Instagram, so make sure that you follow me over there. Rule number 3 is you definitely have to give this video a huge thumbs up. It definitely helps out my video, and girl, we want to make sure that everyone is seeing this makeup look, so definitely give this video a huge thumbs up. And the last and final rule is to enter, head over to Instagram, and I'm going to be posting a photo of this makeup look, of course, and all you need to do is go ahead and share that photo of this makeup look on your stories and go ahead and tag me, and that is basically it. You will be entered to win this eyeshadow palette. So I hope you guys are excited. I have so many more giveaways to come. This is just my way of saying thank you and to hopefully brighten up someone's day during the holiday season. So before we jump into today's video, please don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you guys have not already. And girl, while you are subscribing, there's a bell bell icon right next to that subscribe button. All you need to do is click on it and it'll tell you every single time I post a new video. I do post every Monday and Friday, but occasionally I do post on a Wednesday. So you definitely do not want to miss out on a video, so make sure you hit that bell. And of course, as always, if you guys would like to see how I created this makeup look right here with the new Glamlite Paint Palette Pro, then just keep on watching. Okay, so jumping into today's eye look, of course, I'm going to be using my P.LOUISE base to go ahead and prep my eyelid. There's really nothing else that I use, especially when I'm doing a colorful look. So what I like to do is basically just dot it all over my eyelid, and then I take a small buffing brush just to go ahead and buff it into the skin. And then here's the Glamlite palette up close and personal. She's absolutely beautiful. And the first color I'm going to be using in this palette today is the shade called Lime. And it's that really beautiful, like, brighter green. So this color was really pretty. I did enjoy it. I'm putting it right into the inner part of my eye, so like in that inner socket area. And as you guys can see, the color did build up nicely, but even from looking at it in the pan, you can already see that it's more of a lighter green. So there wasn't much building that I can do. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and jump into my Carnival palette. So this is the BPERFECT Carnival 3, and I'm going to be using the shade Tropics from this palette. It's such a beautiful green, and all I'm going to do with this shade is just start to build some intensity into that inner part of the socket of the eye, and basically just mesh those two colors together. So once I went ahead and did that, and I was pretty happy with the intensity and the placement, I'm going to move on to the next shade. I'm going to be using the shade right here. This one is called Yellow Ochre, and it's a really nice, like, orangey toned yellow. It's really beautiful, and this shade right here is going to go above that green. So basically I'm putting 50% of my brush on the green, like right where it stops, and then 50% on the bare skin. So what I'm doing is packing on the color, and then I'm going to go ahead and use little tiny circular motions to make sure it looks nice and diffused. And it almost is going all the way down my nose, kind of like a nose contour, so do not be scared at all, girl. Just go for it. So now I'm going to jump back into the Carnival palette, and I'm going to be taking the shade The Deep. It's a really nice deep navy blue, and I'm going to be putting this shade right after the green. And girl, with a look like this, you have to just trust the process, because it looks insane at first, but it all comes together in the end, as you guys saw by the intro. So I'm going to go ahead and pack this color on as well. And right now I'm not really focusing on blending. We're really just focusing on placement of the shadows. So now I'm going to jump in to the shade called Dark Violet, and this color is beautiful as well. Super pigmented. I love me a good purple shadow. So this color is going to go right after that blue shade. So like I said, I'm just basically placing everything down, really building the pigment and the shape that I want for today's look. So once I went ahead and placed all the shadows down, and now we're going to start to blend them to make sure everything looks nice and diffused. So I'm first taking that blue from the Glamlite palette, and I'm going to just tap it onto the darker blue, and then I'm going to go in with an even lighter blue, which is this color right here, which is called Turquoise. This is probably one of my favorite colors in this palette. It is so beautiful, and even though it's so light and bright, it's still so pigmented. And then of course I'm going to dip into a lighter purple, which is the shade Orchid in the palette. Super beautiful purple as well, and I'm going to be using this to, of course, blend out that darker purple. This part of the eye look right here is definitely the most time consuming, because obviously it takes a while to blend, you guys. Blending, you definitely cannot rush it. You definitely have to take your time and make sure everything looks really nice. So once I did all the blending, as you guys can see, I did go over the darker shades, so they kind of got lost. So I went back in with the dark green, the dark blue, and now I'm going back in with the dark purple. You definitely want to make sure that you bring that pigment back to life. So I went ahead and did that really quickly, and this is what the eye is looking like so far. It looks like a hot mess, but now we're going to cut the crease. So I'm going to be using my Garnier Micellar Water and some Q-tips, of course, and I'm going to actually start the crease all the way down towards the side of my nose, because like you guys saw, I did take that yellow shade pretty far down. It almost looks like a little nose contour up at the top, because I really wanted this look to look really pretty and blown out. So this step here is such a game changer. If you do a cut crease, try doing this step. I'm telling you, you are going to fall in love. So I'm basically creating the shape of the cut crease, and for today's look, I did cut the crease pretty high, and I'm going to be using my Blank Canvas base by Mitchell and P.LOUISE. And you guys, I was so close to the mirror, I didn't even get any footage of me cutting the crease because I was so concentrated, so I apologize. But I'm just patting out the base because it is a thicker base to make sure everything goes on nice and smoothly. So now we're going to start on the lid. So I'm going to be using the shade Tangerine, and all I'm doing, just like what I did with the crease, is I'm going to basically place these shadows down. So this right here is going to be where Tangerine is going to go. And then I'm going to go into the shade Magenta, and Magenta is going to go behind the shade Tangerine. So it's going to go from orange to pink. And like I said, don't worry about it being perfected or the colors blending. Right now, I just want to make sure I have space for every shade I want to use. And then I did go into the red eyeshadow, which is called Crimson Red, and I put that right after the magenta shade. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I basically just dip back and forth to each shade and kind of just mesh them together. This is also very time consuming, but it's basically your preference. So when you feel like it's blended enough, then you can stop. So moving into the Anastasia Riviera palette, I'm going to be using the shade Sails. Of course, it's my favorite white eyeshadow. I'm going to be putting that in the inner part of the eye just to make sure there was a little bit of light. And then of course on the outer corner, I'm going to be using the purple again. And I'm basically just going to apply the purple until it's nice and pigmented. And for some added intensity, I'm going to be going into the shade Black Beach from the Carnival palette. It's just a pitch black, super pigmented matte shadow, and I'm going to put this on the outer part of my eye. So after that, that was basically it. I went ahead and added some mascara and popped on some lashes off camera. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the face makeup. So for primer today, I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty. This is the Soft Silk Hydrating Primer. I haven't used this primer in a hot minute, and oh my gosh, I fell in love with it all over again. It is so beautiful. It literally feels super soft to the touch. And then I'm going to be using the Touch and Sew No Pore Blend Primer in the places where I want my skin to look extra smooth. You guys, this combo, life-changing. If you have these two primers, use them together and let me know what you think. So for foundation, I'm going to be using two of my favorites. This is the Rare Beauty foundation and the Tarte Concealer foundation. The only reason why I'm mixing them is because, as you guys can see here, the Rare Beauty is super dark for me right now. I have no color at all right now, so I definitely needed to add the concealer from Tarte to make sure it matched really good and that my face didn't look like a completely different color from my neck. So I went ahead and blended that in with my e.l.f. Total Face Sponge, and I've been using a beauty blender. I forgot how big this sponge is. I don't know if I like it anymore. So moving on to concealer, I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This one is in the shade Light Neutral. With this concealer, I like to let it sit on my skin for a little bit before I blend it out. So while that's settling a bit, I'm going to use the Palladio. This is their Blend and Contour Cream Bronzer. This one is in the shade Cinnamon. You guys, I'm obsessed, and this is so affordable. I'm going to link it down below for you guys in case you're interested. It's beautiful, and I really love the color. I've been obsessed lately. And then, of course, I'm going to go ahead and just take that same sponge and blend out my concealer. I honestly love Shape Tape, but I've only been using it so much because I have just a little bit left in that tube, and I kind of just want to finish it so I can declutter it. But it is a really beautiful cult favorite concealer. So I did go ahead and set my under eyes with the One Size translucent powder, and now for the rest of my face, I'm going to be using my Sephora Micro Smooth powder to go ahead and set. So for bronzer, because honey, we're looking pale AF, I'm going to be using my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish powder in the shade Dark Tan. This is a holy grail, okay? If you like a really warm bronzer, you're going to love this one. It's amazing. And I'm basically just going to use it on a big fluffy bronzing brush. That one is from Jaclyn Hill and Morphe. And for blush, I'm using the Tarte blush in the shade Sensual. This is one of my favorite blushes. It's a really neutral blush, and it goes with any eye look that I do. Sometimes I'm in a pinch and I don't know what blush to use that day, and this is something that I just grab and it literally matches with everything. So for highlight, this is another favorite highlight. This is the Laura Geller highlighter in Gilded Honey. Girl, this is a beaming highlight. If you have not tried it before, you are truly missing out. It is amazing and so underrated. So after I do highlight, I always go back in with my blush brush just to make sure everything is nice and blended and we don't have a streak of highlighter on the face. And that's basically it. This is the face makeup. Super simple and easy. So here's what the base is looking like. We love a full coverage base. So let's go ahead and finish at the lower lash line. So I'm going to be going in with the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in Exit. This is probably my least favorite liner from them, you guys. It does not have much pigment, and I do not like that. I definitely need to find a good quality white liner, and this one is definitely not it, okay? So moving on, I got interrupted quickly. This is my baby Layla. My sister got a new puppy. Isn't she adorable? I love her. I'm like the best Titi ever, by the way. So moving back into the Riviera palette, I'm going to be using the shade Sails, and I'm going to take it on a flat definer brush, and I'm basically going to just pop that right over that Exit liner. So it's going to make it look more pigmented and make it stand out. I really wanted the white in the waterline to really pop because we're using so many colors. So this is definitely a trick that I recommend you guys try. So moving back into the Glamlite palette, I'm going to be taking the shade Orchid, and I'm going to be taking that same flat definer brush and really packing it onto the lower lash line and really building up the pigment as always. This is definitely going to take some time. You do not want to put this super close to the inner part because we're going to be using some other shades. So I took a fluffy brush and I did go ahead and blend it out really quickly, and then I'm going to jump back into the shade Magenta and then Tangerine after. So I'm putting magenta right after that purple towards the center, and then of course the orange towards the inner part of the eye, and just making sure everything is nice and pigmented. So for the intensity on the lower lash line, I'm mixing the shades Blackberry and Black Beach from the Carnival Love Tahiti palette, and basically I'm just popping that on the lower lash line, but super close to the lashes, and I'm only connecting it to the outer part. So this color is not going all the way in towards the tear duct, it's just staying on that outer part of the eye. And then of course I'm going to give myself a good coat of mascara. This is the KKW Beauty Mascara. It is my fave. And of course, lastly, I'm going to go back in with that yellow eyeshadow just to build up that intensity in that inner part of the eye really quickly, because it does get kind of blended away when I went ahead and did my foundation and concealer, of course. So I did that really quickly, and I love this blown out look with the yellow in the inner part of the eye. I was obsessed. I never done a look like this before where I took my shadow so far down my nose, but I really did love it. I think it came out really pretty. And then I did take a little bit more of the Gilded Honey highlighter and just pop that in between where the yellow actually almost meets, right in the center of my nose, and girl, obsessed. So off camera, I did do my lip combo. I'll leave what I'm wearing down below in the description box because you guys see the same lip combo all the time. But for setting spray, I'm using the Huda Beauty Glow Coconut Setting Spray. I've actually been liking this one a lot, and it really does give you a super glowy finish. I love it. And of course, I'm just going to dry it down with my Batty Bee fan. So usually when my setting spray is nice and dry, I'll go back in with highlighter because, girl, y'all know I love a beaming highlight. And that's usually the final touch to the look, and that's basically it. This completes the look. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video and enjoyed this makeup look. Please do not forget to check the description box for all the details on the giveaway so you guys know how to enter and know when it ends. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!